everyone, welcome back to YAnuary, a whole month of the book guy, celebrating young adult fiction and helping you find some good options to read. Today I'm looking at Skyward, which is a 5-book sci-fi series for teens of all ages. The final book in the series came out just 3 months ago, so the whole series is complete and now is a great time to try this one out. Skyward is a fascinating series for me because it's some very creative sci-fi. It's a gateway sci-fi, so it's very easy for new readers to get in. Yet the story goes through several big shakeups and some pretty wild plot twists. And as a series, it changes directions a few times. I also love it. I love that these big and weird sci-fi concepts are pitched at a YA age group, proving that they can handle it. So today I'll pitch this series to you to see if you want to read it. But in the second half of the video, I'll talk more about the unusual direction the series goes in. And I'll explain why there's a random book in the middle by another author and what that's all about. Now let's jump into Skyward and see if it's going to be right for you. Spencer lives underground on the planet Detritus. Her world suffers constant attacks as alien spacecraft randomly appear in the sky and bomb the surface, so all humans hide below. The greatest humans are the fighter pilots, like Spencer's dad. They fight the alien species known only as the Krell and defend their homeworld from alien incursion. Spencer dreams of becoming like her dad, being a rock star superhero pilot and kicking alien butt. Until, in a great battle, her dad runs away. It's unthinkable. Running away when you're meant to be defending a civilian population? It's unacceptable, and his cowardice forces his allies to shoot him down as punishment. No one knows why he did it, but they all know that they don't want Spencer to be a pilot now in case the same thing happens to her. Now Spencer is labelled as the daughter of a coward. She is a social outcast, yet Spencer is determined to overcome everybody's doubts about her and to become the very best pilot of them all. And she will discover what really happened to her father and the great secrets of the universe. She will escape the underground caverns of Detritus and claim the stars. The humans in Skyward arrived on Detritus about 70 years ago on a massive spaceship known as the Defiance and ended up getting shipwrecked. Everyone who lives here now is a descendant of that original crew. The planet Detritus gets its name from the massive layer of space debris that covers the entire planet like a blanket. It's so dense that even when you do stand on the surface, you can so rarely glimpse the stars through the debris. Now this debris was already there when the Defiant arrived, and there are other signs that humans used to live there, but they're all gone now. No one knows anything about the invaders, the Krell. There's been no communication with them after 70 years of attacks. If a ship is shot down, they self-destruct, so no one even knows what a Krell looks like. They are a relentless, faceless enemy bent on destruction. Sometimes they attack with a fleet of one-man ships. Other times they send capital ships with mega bombs known as lifebusters that can blow up people living underground. There's no rhyme or reason to their attacks, they just keep coming. So as you can probably guess by all of this now, this world building is all based on mystery, just like Sanderson always does. Humans have found an abandoned, ruined planet and seem to have inherited some sort of ancient war. We don't really know, and Spencer's dad, who suddenly became a coward and ran away, some say that he looked into space and went crazy. Something's definitely going on out there. I said, hey. And if all that other mystery wasn't enough, Spencer soon discovers 2 strange curiosities. One is a ship that was long abandoned but highly advanced. That's this guy here, actually, from the Kickstarter. This ship is a very cheeky AI personality. He loves mushrooms for some reason, so he gets called M-Bot. Spencer hopes to repair M-Bot and see if she can unlock his secrets. The other curiosity is a strange yellow slug. It follows Spencer around and even mimics some of her words like a parrot, but with perfect accuracy, sounding like a human. Where did this slug come from? Spencer gives her a name, Doomslug. So I've got to mention these two, M-Bot and Doomslug, because they are just fan favorites. A video of Skyward would just not be complete without them. Skyward focuses a lot on ships. Pilots have a range of cool stuff that they can do, and it applies to combat. So they can shoot stuff, as you would expect. They also have lances, where a ship can latch onto something and spin around it very quickly. They can lance onto debris in the planet, or enemy ships, or even other allies to do complex maneuvers. The ships also have shields and EMPs, so an EMP will instantly take down an enemy shield, but your own as well, so it's a very risky play. All of this is used to great effect to have some truly epic space battles. There is more to the world building, but I'll come back to that. The characters of the series are Spencer herself and her team that make up Skyward Flight. Remember that name, Skyward Flight?
Surprise tool that can help us later.
Spencer is a great main character. She's such an underdog from the very start. Daughter of a coward, but determined to follow in her father's footsteps anyway. Spencer is raised by Gran, who tells her stories of great warriors from old Earth, like Alexander the Great or Beowulf. So Spencer has a certain flair for theatricality. She makes crazy boasts about building pyramids from the skulls of her enemies. She's a badass. She's also a bit too feisty, doesn't play well with others, and being a pilot means being part of a team. Spencer needs to learn how to work with others. Now, the Skyward Flight team has a total of 10 characters, and we get to know all of them pretty well in Book 1 to some extent. It's a great cast of supporting characters with many standouts, but just for time's sake today, I'm going to look at 2. First is Jorgen. Jorgen is by far the best pilot on the team, but only because he comes from privilege. His parents are on the ruling council, so he's been getting private lessons for years. He barely even needs flight school at all, but he immediately starts bossing everyone around. That's why Spencer starts calling him Jerkface. It was a joke, but it ends up becoming his pilot call sign, much to his annoyance. Jorgen is so uptight, but he also has the skills to back up his confidence. And he's just so determined to do a good job. Is he actually similar to Spencer in that he doesn't work well with the team? Then there's Cobb, their leader. So Cobb is from the older generation of pilots, and it turns out he knew Spencer's dad quite well. Cobb is a cynical, savage guy. He's trained hundreds of teams of pilots just to watch them all eventually get shot down. So he has little hope that this team's going to be any different. But watch this guy. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Skyward is all about flight school and the war. Everyone is trying to learn the mechanics of flight and of teamwork and how to stare death in the face. It's a story that has high grand sci-fi adventure on one hand and the difficult realities of warfare in the other. This is the big reason why this series is YA. Partially because yes, all the cadets are late teenagers, but mostly because it's a coming of age story. Everyone in this flight team has big dreams of being a rock star hero pilot. Instead, the reality is much more stark and even hopeless. They've been fighting this desperate war for survival for so long, and there's no end in sight. No answers, no reason, just never-ending warfare. We also have the mystery plotline of the ship that Spencer is repairing and the strange slug that repeats words. And there's a plot surrounding Spencer's father and why he truly became a coward and ran away. Plus, there's a certain tension brewing between Spencer and her flight captain Jorgen. Their bitter rivalry might explode with terrible results. Wink. So grand adventure, coming of age, and mystery plotlines. This book has it all. Now I need to talk about the strange and wonderful direction the series goes in. I'm going to do this with as few spoilers as possible, but I will be giving some details away, because I really want your expectations to be in the right place, so that you enjoy all the strange twists and turns and don't find them confusing instead. Let's go. The story splits hard in Book 2. So here's the smallest possible spoiler. Spencer leaves her planet Detritus and goes to Starsight, a massive galactic space station. This is a huge direction change for the series, and when I first read it, I felt a certain amount of disorientation. For 2 reasons. 1, Spencer is quickly introduced to an entire fictional sci-fi universe. The world building expands rapidly here. Suddenly we have half a dozen alien races, and some of them are pretty weird. We have multiple alien cultures, and there's a whole bunch of new characters, so there's a lot happening. The second reason why this can be disorientating is because every other character from Book 1 is left behind. We see a small scattering of chapters about Jorgen in Book 2, but that's it. The story effectively splits in half, and that's where Skyward Flight comes in. So what's Skyward Flight all about? Well, I'll give you the short version first, and then a long, detailed breakdown of Brandon Sanderson's original plan and his change plans and his writing schedule, because that's just who I am as a person. The short version, the story splits here. Books 2 and 3, Starsight and Cytonic, are all about Spencer's journey through space. Skyward Flight, the Novellas, is about the rest of the team, and the humans of Detritus on their own adventures. And they all come back together in the final book for the epic conclusion. Simple. Also, the reading order is not set in stone. Definitely read the first 2 novels, then it's up to you. Once you finish Starsight, if you want to see more Spencer, go straight on to Cytonic. But if you want to see what's going on with the rest of the team, read Skyward Flight. It's totally up to you. And then just make sure you read Defiant last. That's the simple version. Long version? Well, I'm glad you asked me. At the end of every year, Sanderson writes a newsletter, The State of Sanderson, where he writes a comprehensive update on every single project he's working on. In 2018, he announced that his writing career was in a bit of a weird place and he needed to fix it. You see, Brandon had envisioned the Cosmere, a massive universe of 30 novels forming an epic tale, and they would share a universe rather than being a consecutive story like The Wheel of Time. He originally thought he'd write 2 books a year and finish book 30 around year 15. Yet in 2018, about 15 years after being a writer, he was massively behind schedule. Instead of coming up on book 30, he was on book 11. Oof. Now I hear you say that doesn't make sense. Brandon Sanderson's one of the fastest writers ever. How do you get so far behind? Well, 3 reasons. The first is simply Stormlight Archive. His plan was to write a Cosmere book every 6 months, yet each Stormlight book takes 18 months to write, so 3 times longer. 2, Sanderson has to take creative breaks. Back in 2005, he tried to write the Mistborn trilogy back to back to back. Instead, it got boring for him to spend so much time in one place, so he wrote the first Alcatraz novel to fill in that gap, to take a creativity break. And Sanderson just needs this as part of his process. By taking breaks, he stays excited about writing and doesn't burn out. And the third reason he was falling behind, he was in the middle of too many different series at once. In 2018, he was in the middle of Stormlight Era 1, Mistborn Era 2, Skyward, Alcatraz, and Legion. Not to mention, he'd never found the time to go back to Elantris, Warbreaker, or Rhythmatist. So, Sanderson created a 5-year plan. By 2023, his goal was to finish all 5 of those unfinished series. He would literally hire other writers to co-write side projects so that he had more time to focus on the Cosmere and catch up on his big plan. This is where we get Dan Wells, who started to write The Dark One. Stephen Michael Bowles started writing Lux and continuing the Reckoners series. And Janci Patterson was hired to write the final Alcatraz book. Things were finally starting to come together. And he immediately got into trouble. So Starsight became too big. He spent 3 months more working on it than he intended. At the time, we didn't know why there was a delay, but in retrospect, he admitted that it was because the Skyward trilogy was going to become 4 books. And even then, he still didn't find time in Starsight to have both a Spencer plot and a Skyward Flight plot. And he was already 3 months late into his 5-year plan and didn't have time to fit in any more books. So that's why he brought in Janci Patterson. It was a business solution to a creative problem, and it worked beautifully. Janci was able to fill in a big gap in the story to allow Brandon to continue on his 5-year plan and finish the main books in Skyward. Ta-da! Now the obvious question, is there a noticeable difference in quality between Janci and Brandon's writing? A little. So Brandon's prose is very quick and succinct and direct. Janci takes a little bit more time to explain things in detail, so I felt like her story was just a little bit slower. But that was the biggest difference. Everything else felt relatively the same. I recently read Janci's Alcatraz novel, and I can confirm she's on a similar writing level to Brandon, so don't worry, you're in good hands. Well, wasn't that a massive fun tangent? I had fun. Though I suppose I should mention the actual story, right? Oh boy. So Skyward Flight has 3 novellas, and each is about a different main protagonist. We have FM, Alarnik, and Jorgen. I'll keep it simple to avoid spoilers, but they each deal with 3 separate events that lead them into space as well, and into the wider galactic community. It turns out, the humans of Detritus are not the only ones at war with the Krell. So these adventures are all about developing technology and the search for allies. Both Skyward Flight and Cytonic end with the 2 major plotlines reuniting. And it all comes down to the last book, Defiant, where it all comes together. In a word, yes. I only finished reading Defiance just a few days ago, and I am very satisfied with the ending. Everything did come together. The massive journeys ended, and the big mystery plot lines were revealed. Though I will say two things about the final book. It was hard to go back to Defiant. I felt like I had to spend the first half of the novel trying to remember all the characters and plot lines from the different branches of the series. The book clearly puts little reminders in there to help you catch up, but it's hard to spend so much time in different locations and then remember everything when it comes together. Part of that is just from waiting a year to read Defiant. I suspect if you read them all back to back, remembering will be easier. The second thing, Skyward is continuing as a series. So I knew ahead of reading the final book that Janci Patterson is writing the first book of a new series called Skyward Legacy. It's even 100% drafted. I was concerned that this would mean that the ending would be very open, but it was surprisingly well resolved. Put it this way, the plot lines are all resolved. The world building still has mysteries, and that's the perfect way to do it. Wrap up every plotline, but leave us wanting more, so that we want to explore the far reaches of the galaxy. I am very happy with Defiance ending, and I am excited for what comes next. One of my favourite things about the Skyward series is that it was clearly intended to be young adult the whole time. It's not like the book was simply written and then a publisher swooped in at the last minute and slapped a YA label on it. This story has all the benchmarks of YA included with deliberate care. The big theme is defiance. YA fiction is all about growing up and questioning the world for the first time. You no longer are a child being told what to think, you are thinking for yourself. That's exactly what we see in Skyward. A mysterious planet with a faceless alien enemy. We are meant to question it all and defy everyone and claim the stars. It also shows that teenagers are capable of contributing to society. Similar to the Hunger Games, teenagers are treated with respect equal to adults. It's an empowering story that doesn't talk down to its audience. It encourages young readers to cast off apathy, to step up and get involved in how things are done. There's also a shift over the course of the series. At first there is the older generation that work alongside the young, yet the more things change, the more people realize that it's the young people who have the audacity and gumption they need to create something new. There is a gradual delegation of leadership. It sends a very clear message to young people: the world is yours. And I feel like it sends a message to older generations as well, that young people deserve their respect and their trust. There is a weird blend in this series between very easy to understand sci-fi concepts and boundary-pushing concepts. We have gateway sci-fi and then the absolute bizarre. My question is, does it work? Let's look at some examples. So the concept for Skyward is very straightforward. Humans underground, because aliens attack from the sky, pilots fight them back with cool ships. Very straightforward. Later, we have alien species that are giant blocks of crystal. There's a quirky sentient AI. There's other realms of reality. There's a bunch of other strange sci-fi concepts that I want to leave for you to explore. Put it this way, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And that franchise has over 800 episodes, and each one explores a different sci-fi concept. Yet I've never seen any sci-fi concepts like Skyward. I think this is the benefit of making the story YA. In an adult series, people might expect a little bit more seriousness and believability. In YA, you're allowed to be more creative and do weirder things, because people are just more forgiving. I still feel the need to give you a heads up about the weird factor of this series. It's fun and experimental, and so I think it's what sci-fi should be, but there are a few moments that may leave you feeling bewildered. Now, you might see this detail floating around a little bit out there. Something about a short story called Defending Elysium that's set in the Skyward universe. Brandon wrote this story years earlier, in 2008, as a separate standalone piece about first contact with aliens. It's called Defending Elysium because the aliens who meet us are worried about defending their galactic paradise from humans who are much more of a warlike species. It's an interesting concept. So it was written 10 years before he wrote Skyward, and there is barely any connection between them in terms of story. Skyward is technically 300 years in the future from that short story, in a very very different situation. However, they do technically share a universe, and that means there are some spoilers. If you want to read Skyward, you absolutely should not start with the short story. The shared universe means that there are certain, shall we say, technologies that are revealed in the short story before a big twist reveal in Skyward. That said, you can read the short story anytime after Skyward, and it is online for free. I do say it's worth reading. It's only 40 pages, and the last 2 books in Skyward do certain links back to it. Just know that overall it is very disconnected to the rest of the series. I feel like its inclusion today is more of a technicality. You probably could choose to skip the short story entirely if you wanted to. There is a lot of representation in this series, quite a surprising amount. For one, the humans on the planet Detritus are a very mixed race. There were multiple Earth countries on board the original ship, Defiant, so many of these characters are white, black, or Asian. Many of them still live according to their original cultures, religions, and remember their mythologies. Yet they are all united against a common enemy. There are so many women in this book, I almost want to call this women's fiction. So Spencer is the main character, yes, and there are multiple supporting women. There are 50-50 men and women in Skyward Flight who are all fierce, capable warriors, and there's lots of women in leadership roles in charge making big decisions all throughout the series. There's also a few queer relationships among humans and other species, mostly just a reference here or two, nothing too plot heavy. However, there is a race of aliens that don't have gender. Yes, they are properly non-binary aliens who use they-them pronouns. If I recall correctly, they were genderless until they come of age, and when they do, they then choose their gender. Though some of them put off coming of age and remain non-binary for as long as they like. It's very elegant. So the first book, Skyward, is excellent. It's not just a great starting point for this series, it is a great starting point for Sanderson's wider work on a whole. You can try it and know right away if you'll enjoy the whole thing. The series does go through all those changes I described. I don't believe there are any peaks or dips in the series, although Goodreads disagrees with me. I should give you a heads up. The third book, Cytonic, is rated a noticeable dip lower than the rest of the series, which I can understand because it is simply the weirdest of them all by far. Still, I had no problem with it, and it's worth reading that book so you get to the end of the series anyway. All that to say, Skyward's a great starting point. Give it a go, and you'll know right away if you want to try the full thing. I think that's all you need to know about Skyward. So I hope you'll give this one a try. Good luck, my friends, and happy reading. So next week I'm finishing YAnuary already with the Lunar Chronicles. After that we're going back to adult fantasy. We'll be doing flintlock fantasy. It'll be fantasy with guns. More accurately, it's going to be fantasy that's set between modern times and medieval times. You know, in a middle ground of technology between computers and swords. I'm very excited for that. If you want to support the book guy, you can buy something from our shop, Rainbow Space Unicorn, or you can support me directly on Patreon. We've got a few options for you now. I've got a lot of cool stuff that I'm working on exclusively for Patreon. I hope you'll check it out. It will include book reviews, behind the scenes, memes and pictures of my cats, and even some exclusive writing and short stories coming up soon. Though if you do love me but you're poor, that's totally cool. Just interact with this video in some way to give it a boost. I appreciate all of your contributions. I hope you feel inspired to read more by watching my content. I really want to help you feel love and excitement for reading and to remove all the judgment and pressure you might be feeling. Books are for everyone, and everyone is allowed to enjoy them in their own way. So I hope you'll enjoy a good book today. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye!